We're going on a date and the theme is flowers, his and hers, fragrances. The Valentino Beauty born in Roma, Uomo, and Donna. I love this fragrance because it's so feminine. It's giving like jasmine.
I'm smelling vanilla. Oh, that's nice.
Very warm and spicy.
I'm about to scuff up my floor. Yeah, girl, I'm about to take you out.
Tell me what you think of my final fit.
I think you look like a garden that got burnt, but was beautiful. Does that make sense?
A garden that got burnt?
It's black flowers. I ain't never seen a black flower.
Anyway, we're off to date night.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black But 919. A quick one. It's a part 3. Part 2 hasn't even come out yet, but I'm gonna do that for you tomorrow. Part 3 to this conversation. I watched this video and I said there was something that happened that I think shouldn't be happening, and is a bigger indication of a larger issue and problem between the two of them. Respect. Okay? Respect. And I'm going to show you the clip again. I want you to pay attention to the part that I think, for me personally, encapsulates bigger problems that are actually going on within the cause of this relationship. Again, I don't think this is the reason why they broke up. I think there are many different reasons as to why they broke up and why they got to a place of divorce. Of course, cheating is one of them, but there are emotional issues that I think go on with couples that need to be spoken about, right? So I think for one of the aspects is we have to talk about the fact that the relationship went through a transition. 2020, she becomes a star. He goes from being the main man to behind the scenes, I guess, in a sense, right? And then social media becomes a very big thing. And that's a massive change in the dynamics of their relationship, you know? Another aspect is, how do you shift from being somebody who wasn't a star to becoming a star? How do you handle the power, right? How do you handle the attention? These are all things that can happen to people, right? Another aspect is as well that within this aspect is the power shifts that begin to happen, right? The perception of what people feel is appreciation and what is not appreciation, especially for a man, because obviously he decided that he wanted to separate in the first place. So something was happening. When a man gets to a point of not wanting to be in a relationship no more, the power source has been clipped. All right. And for men, I'm going to give you the 5 A's that men need: appreciation, admiration, affirmation, acknowledgement, and accountability. Those are the 5 things that men definitely need. Right. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things, but those 5 things are key. I'm going to say it one more time: appreciation, admiration, affirmation, acknowledgement, and accountability. Very, very important for men. When those things are in play, that man can do anything. Anything. He can appreciate anything, love you anything, do anything you want. But when that thing gets cut off, or at least the perception of it being cut off, right? Because it might be a perception that you have. This can lead to that kind of feeling as well. So I wanted to just break down a few different little videos. We'll talk about it. I'm going to be here for a short while, not a long time. But I definitely want to be able to have this kind of conversation as well. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like, you share, you subscribe, you click on that wonderful bell button for notifications of the uploads. Okay. I just want to watch this scene once more again.
Yeah, girl, I'm about to take you out.
Tell me what you think of my final fit.
I think you look like a garden that got burnt, but was beautiful. Does that make sense?
A garden that got burnt?
It's black flowers. I ain't never seen a black.
This, whilst it may be all jokes and fun, I'm going to tell you it's a no-no. Do you remember Taylor and what's her name? The old girl's name? What's her name? The one from Love Island? When he decided he wanted to play fight with her, right? What do we all say? What do we say about that play fighting that Taylor was trying to do with old girl? Right? We were all calling it out, saying that behavior is unacceptable to play fight in that way. Now, of course, it wasn't the same measure or leisure of this, but the reality of the situation is this should never happen. I've never grabbed any of my girlfriends this way in a jokey manner. I don't do it because I think to myself that there are certain jokes that don't need to run with you and your partner. You know what I'm saying to you? There's certain jokes shouldn't, right? And of course, if maybe she let in for a kiss, maybe could have meant something. But I always think that whenever you start making these physical jokes like this, you're on a slippery slope. right? And it actually begins to speak to disrespect rather than appreciation. You know what I mean? Just watch it over time. And of course, listen, they make curated content. But my real question also is, let's say he agreed to this before they started. What mindset does he have to be in to also agree to be in a position where your woman grabs you by the throat and you're consistently playing a submissive role? What does that do to you? What does that do to the mindset and the psyche of a man who consistently keeps playing roles where you are, quote unquote, right? Almost degraded, almost, disrespected, right? Always playing the class clown kind of joke. What does that do to the psyche of the woman that you're with, where she always has to play a more dominant role in the relationship as an act on our screens? Bear in mind, also, she is a social media content creator who's blown up, and she generally has to be probably out there in the world, probably has to be a bit more masculine because, again, you got to make sure you're doing protecting yourself, making sure you're achieving your go for. When I say masculine, I mean the energy, not necessarily she's masculine. Going forth, achieving, planning, setting, executing, all that kind of stuff. And then you're in a competition amongst other people, whether you think you're competing or not, right? You got other competitors in a sense. So that puts you in a particular mind frame. So when you then exercise this behavior and it's quote unquote acting, it's very hard to differentiate in the mind of the individual period over a long period of time. I said this in my part one. This is why actors need a debrief. Actors need a debrief because they play a character for so long, they forgot who their actual person is. You forget who your identity is, right? That you have to be debriefed. So imagine you're a social media content creator, and this is why I've got to be very careful what kind of roles you want to play in a social media relationship, right? And this is why I really hate pranks as well. But this particular part here is so interesting because her mind, before she does it, you can see she's thinking about it. You can see she's thinking about the way she's looking at him. I'm not saying that she's trying to do anything evil. I'm saying she's looking at you. You can see that mind. She's thinking about it.
Makes sense.
A garden that got burnt.
Now, playing these physical jokes, this is on both sides. I hope that after this happened, he'd have told her, listen, yo, there's certain jokes we didn't have to make. I remember a situation with a partner that I had beforehand, and we were joking, laughing, and she joked, and then she hit me in the back of the head. She said, stop being silly. I had to look at her like, excuse me? I said, don't do that again. I don't take those things as jokes. I don't take people hitting me as a joke. It's not. Right? Because it quickly turns into something more. We all know, because you know why? Because we've all had a play fight with your brother or your sister, right? And then someone gets hurt, and now it's real. Someone taps too hard, now it's real. Someone does it a bit too, at an angle now it's real, right? You don't want to go down that lane, and the only way you're going down that lane is when you start not realizing that this is a disrespectful act. So again, I'm not even shooting her. I'm saying that this relationship, I'm not saying it's even toxic per se. I'm more saying that there are behaviors that this shouldn't really be going on, but it is going on. And so now,
Black flowers. I ain't never seen a black flower.
Anyway, we're off to date night.
how do you go from that act on the screen to changing to being, actually, that's not me. I'm chill. I want to be nice and da. It's very hard to go from that to that, especially if you're in that role on a daily basis creating content. Okay, all right. So that's one of the major issues that I saw with them that was making me think. Number two, now people might not like this. I don't know. Personally, when I saw this particular instance, the roles that they're playing, and I've seen a quite different one or two videos, the roles that they're playing, I always feel like she's leading and has been leading. And I think that's quite interesting. I say it's interesting because they've been together since they were 14. And sometimes as a man, we can be passive. We may not be able to speak up. We may not be able to lead the way we want to lead, right? Because we even though we're grown and we're older now, the little boy is still inside of us, right? Sometimes we haven't got into our manhood as of yet, right? How does a relationship change when a man goes from being that passive aspect to being very, quote unquote, more forward or more direct? How does a relationship change? How does a relationship change when she's a sweet girl next door, almost kind of energy, and she's gone into the vixen or the you know, the hottie who's in charge. How does the relationship shift, and how does it begin to change? How do people handle those changes? Because again, those are transitions in your relationship that need to handle the weight of the changes that you two are making. It's not always easy. I can attest to that. It's not always easy, those particular changes. Now, something that I want to play a little clip, this one here.
Nice of breaking the heart.
I don't want it to go. They're gonna give me a freaking copyright. I forgot playing that music. Sorry, I have to make it silent because of the music. Oh, is this the one? Oh, I might have got the other one. It's another one. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is one of them, but it's not the one I wanted. There's another one where they go to kiss and then like she does something silly and like kind of licks him or whatever. But again, the role playing of snatching also, right? Snatching in itself is a rude behavior. And it's something that when people do, we as a social people, we feel this is rude, it's unbecoming. It's not something that breeds people to want to be more invited to you. It breeds disconnection. Again, they're joking, they're having fun. This is their content, this is what they're doing. I'm only highlighting that getting stuck in that role, it's hard to get out of that role. It's hard to get out of that role. Like when the cameras are off, you can't just, it's not, if you've been doing it for so long, you don't just snatch. It's not always easy to just go back right into, oh, I'm a kind, loving, heartful soul. No, if you're practicing these behaviors, they become almost a part of you. So what happens next? You snatch a plate. Now you got to apologize. Baby, you know I'm joking with you. It's just me. You know what I mean? And now you're apologizing for something. Again, I'm not saying that's what necessarily is happening. I'm saying that you're practicing it for so long, you don't realize it becomes part of you. And again, these behaviors aren't oftentimes, if you put them together, they're not isolated. There'll be other things. You might be rude with your mouth, and you might be rude with your words, sorry, right? You might be rude in the way that you deal with the person, where you talk to them, your tone, the way that you think about prioritizing them may also be not in a place that's not that is not how do I say this? That's not warm. Let me put it that way. You know what I mean? So I just think I take all of this into account to say, like, this again is something else that I have to look at and go, I wonder what I did to the mindset. I wonder what I did to the psyche. I wonder what I did to you guys internally. Okay. And within this as well is that because the roles have kind of the roles have kind of shifted. She's become an international superstar, basically. How do you handle the switch of positions? Because I think she was a stay-at-home mum before. Now she's a star. How do you handle the power shift? How do you transition into a place where she now is a person who, not necessarily, I don't even say breadwinner, but the one that's now literally almost leading because of the fact of her career and stuff, right? And this is why I think it's quite interesting, because when I watched some of the old videos in 2020, when they first kind of started, they both look very, very different, by the way. Very, very different. But he gave off more of the nerd kind of look. You know what I mean? Like the almost, quote unquote, almost at the very beginning. He had shaved off his beard. He had a mustache. You know, it was very kind of like almost like, quote unquote, like the nerd, almost in a sense, right? Not saying he was, just saying it was almost like that, right? The introvert, the nerd. And then we see them both glow up. And of course, when you glow up, that's another power shift. Because you're going to look different, you're going to feel different, you're going to move different, you're going to have to be different. Also, as well, how did he feel about the shift of having to dress up more and more? And I mean, he dressed up quite well beforehand, but now having to actually have to always be that way. Because again, remember, she's now a celebrity almost in a sense. So anywhere you go, you might have to be on your P's and Q's, because now you got to dress the part now. That can also be a frustration again, because again, your lifestyle is changing, the way that you move is changing. You being private no longer is private, right? This can also cause some issues amongst the relationship as well in that space, right? And so this is interesting to kind of see. I think also with this situation with Kirsty and Desmond, one thing I would say, and this is probably my last point about this situation. One thing I'm going to say about them is they looked like they were very much in love. They really enjoyed each other's time. They appreciated one another. It looked like they were good. It looks like they were good. But one thing about people who are on the social media is they get used to playing characters. So much so that you become invulnerable. I wonder how they dealt with vulnerability within their relationship. If you're used to playing a character, it's hard to turn off the cameras, okay, and then go back to normal. You're more than likely going to stay in that character, and that character is made up, and it may lack the vulnerability that allows for a relationship to flourish. Okay. Now, the fact that he decided that he wanted to separate tells me that the emotional connection had been severed because maybe there was, because again, for men, appreciation, admiration, acknowledgement, accountability, affirmations are all important. Something in those A's stopped. Something on those 5 A's stopped for him because, again, men's also attraction to women, as much as we all say it's physical, it is, but the consistency of that attraction is also based on the emotional connection. How emotionally connected am I to you? Right? Whether I understand it or whether I agree with it or not doesn't make a difference. How am I emotionally, how am I really in a situation where you're able to really see the real me, right? How am I going to be? That is, again, these are tough things. Again, I'm not blaming anybody and saying anybody's necessarily at fault 100%. I'm saying these are things that needed to be navigated. And that's the tough part. Transitions. Okay. So, but for a man to say he want to file for divorce, that's a difficult thing. And that means that for that man to do that, they'll definitely, more than likely, he lacked appreciation. Because attraction is probably there. Like, that woman's a beautiful woman. He's a good looking man. They got a beautiful family, beautiful home. Physical attraction probably isn't the issue, but physical attraction is now influenced by the emotional connection you have for men as well. Men might not say it out loud, but I'll say it, right? That's why when you start disrespecting, then, the attraction starts to wane for him, right? Emotion is a part of men looking at attraction later on in the relationship. So what will keep him there is that he's appreciated, he's affirmed, he's acknowledged, right? But without those things, he can't survive. Without those things, he can't survive. So it's quite interesting to see that this situation is. But anyway, look, I don't want to stay too long. I want to keep it nice and short. Okay. I'll drop some videos tomorrow as well, or today, if you want to call it that, a little bit later on. But my time is up, man. Yeah, I want to keep it nice and short. I don't like staying too long these days. But I appreciate you guys. We'll see you again soon. Much love, much appreciation.